Testing, is this thing on? Thank you for watching the East West Football Podcast live edition. Got Kendall with me. Kendall, I know yesterday you guys were busy on the Instagram. So for those that don't know, we do have an Instagram page too. So please be kind and go subscribe to our Instagram page. It's East West
Football
Podcast.
podcast.
Yeah, so check that out because we do go live on there too. So, but you know what we didn't get to do was we didn't get to talk about the week one, and I know that it's kind of hard to kind of grasp everything in a nutshell. But before we jump into little week one take big takeaways, let's talk about some recent news that we just got. Right, so there was a lot of concern, especially from the Jets fans. Zach Wilson had that scary situation when it looked like it was an outside bootleg where it was an
Look
option
like a
for him
torn
to run.
ACL.
Yeah, it looked like it was a design play for him to run. And as he was running to the right, he made a move, and when he made that move, he fell down to the ground. It looked scary. All of us were like, "Whoa!" I mean, we were all in like, "Oh, dang!" But the news is it's a bone bruise, and they did. It was a successful surgery on his meniscus. Right now, still no timetable has been put, and so I think right now it's still the 2 to 4 week window. But I think for sure, I think we're already seeing. It's not. I think they've already named Joe Flacco the week one starter. So, with that said, the Jets definitely dodged the bullet, and I think that this gives them enough time because I believe that's the exact knee issue that he had last season.
Right.
And with Zach, it took him a while. It took him a while to get going in his season, but because of injury, and it was because of that same injury. So hopefully he got everything he needed situated, and hopefully he recovers fast. And me and you were just briefly talking about this, and you broke the news to me, right? Which we're talking. I was saying, oh, Drew Lock is practicing. Drew Lock, for just to get clarification, right? He is the second, well, 1B, what is it? 1A, 1B quarterback for the Seahawks, right?
Yes.
And he was a part of the package trade for Russell Wilson. So, we were saying Drew Lock was practicing with the ones, but then you told me some breaking news. So
Right before we went on there.
right before we went on air, it's crazy to think that it's still around, but you know, just for those, be careful, man. COVID's still around. Wash your hands. Try to, keep your distance, and we can maybe finally defeat the sucker. But Drew Lock is out, testing positive for COVID, and now Gino's in there. But I mean, when we look at week one, I mean, they both look good. It, and that was actually one of my questions. Do you think Gino or Drew Lock can help the Seahawks? And let's get right into it, Kendall. What do you think? Do you think Gino or Drew Lock can help the Seahawks be competitive in that tough NFC West division?
Well, see, the thing is, they're in a tough division. That's what's going to hurt them. They're in a very tough division. They certainly can. They got the pieces. They got a decent running back. They got the wide receivers, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. They got the tight end from Denver too. I can't think of his
Oh,
name right now.
No Fant.
Noah Fant. Noah Fant. They bring in Noah Fant. They got a young defense. I think they had a solid draft. Jamal Adams coming back. So the quarter they won't be asked to do that much, but we didn't see much from Drew Lock in Denver, and they got rid of him for a reason. And we kind of know what Geno Smith is at this point. So with Drew Lock, no, not want to wish anything bad on anybody, but with him getting COVID, it's going to set him back a little bit. He's not even going. He was getting starting reps today in training camp, and now he has COVID. So Geno Smith's going to take those reps again this week. There's more time he gets with DK and company. So I mean, it's definitely it's not good for Drew Lock right now. And Geno Smith is probably back in the driver's seat to start week one. And I believe they play Denver week one. How lucky, how crazy.
It is a crazy world, right? But let's I guess let's go ahead and jump off of that. Drew Lock has had his opportunities, and dang, you know what I mean? right when you think, oh, maybe a new team, new face, he'll get a new opportunity. But let's talk about week one, man. What are I think at this point the biggest takeaway? I mean, we can make any storyline we want right now. I mean, we can talk about how the Dallas Cowboys had, I don't know, what was it, 17 penalties? You know what I mean? Whatever it
Disaster.
is, whatever it is you want to talk about, it almost looks like almost every NFL team is repeating the mistakes or the deficiencies they had last season, right throughout the season. But I think it's a safe bet to say that the biggest surprise of the first week of the preseason was the rookie quarterbacks.
Yes, they were. I'm gonna start off with the Steelers and Kenny Pickett leading a touchdown drive to beat Seattle. We just talked about them. Kenny Pickett, man, looks real good. I mean, it wasn't a lot of good news coming out of Pittsburgh to start. Mitch Trubisky and even Mason Rudolph was getting most of the rust, but Kenny Pickett this last week has really came on, especially in that game. All three quarterbacks from Pittsburgh played good, but Kenny Pickett, of course, he's going to get the glamour and the love because he's the first round pick. He's a rookie quarterback or whatnot, so he's going to get the love and whatnot. But he looked real good. And if he can keep this up, I don't know who they played this week in the preseason, but if he can keep it up, it might be a change of hand. Week one when they go to Cincinnati, Kenny Pickett might be behind center. But he looked real good. He looked real good.
You guys talked about this yesterday, right? You guys were talking about Mitch Trubisky would be the week one starter, and then you guys kind of even talked about the second string, right? Because I believe Kenny Pickett didn't really play till to
fourth quarter.
To the fourth quarter, but still his stat lines, check this out. He was 13 of 15. So he had 15 passes. His completion percentage. Now keep in mind, this is something that we look up every week, right? Is a week to week basis is the completion percentage on a quarterback. Now, ideally for those that I'm pretty sure all those that know football, they know that for a quarterback, you want your quarterback at 70%. Kenny Pickett was at 86.7% completion percentage.
Yes,
he passed for 95 yards and he had 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, there's a lot of excitement there for the Steelers. I mean, when I looked at it, I said, man, the Steelers are going to be kind of, they're going to be kind of a low-profile team for maybe a season to 2, right? It's going to take them a little bit of time to.
And I was just telling Jerry we were just talking about. Still, they got a nice young nucleus there with Pat Freeman, second-year tight end. George Pickens, he's having a tremendous. Every time you look up on Twitter, it's something about Pickens. Deontay Johnson just got him a contract. Chase Claypool in his 3rd year. They got rid of Juju. They lost JJ. They lost Armstrong or somebody lost him to San Francisco or whatnot. The slot. I can't think of his name right now, but they lost him.
The wide receiver, yeah.
Yes, yes.
And you're absolutely right. Najee Harris had a great year.
Harris, didn't mention him.
he had a great start and he had almost a pretty strong finish, like the way he started. So you're right. The pieces are definitely in place, but man, George Pickens is playing like he's been in the league for a while.
He has that dog, and he tore his ACL last year in Georgia. Came back.
He did. And Pickens, I think Pickens is bringing the force, right? And that's because they drafted 2 wide receivers this offseason. It was Pickens,
Calvin Austin.
Now that is a weapon they need to unleash soon, fast, and like they need to unleash them as fast as possible, which is going to be it's a great problem to have right now. Now, when you don't know which quarterback to start, that's a different situation. But when you have 4 wide receivers that can all do this, right? Fly around, make some plays on the ball. This is a great.
I think it's said to say Pittsburgh set up for the future.
Yeah,
they're set up pretty nice for the future, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, and so Kenny Pickett is going to be playing the Jaguars this Saturday and the week 2 preseason. Let's talk about some other names here. Sam Howell, right? I know that with Sam Howell, I believe you guys briefly talked about him. He was 9 of 16. He had a 56.3% completion percentage, but he looked nice, man. 145 yards. I mean, he got the ball exactly where he needed to get it. So I think that when we look at that, Carson Wentz looked good too.
He did. In short time, he did.
He did. I mean, it wasn't enough to justify it, right? Because we already know what Carson Wentz does, and he does Carson Wentz things, right? But I mean, as if you're a true Washington fan, and I know that because you're from the Carolinas and whatnot, I'm pretty sure it's a toss it's a coin toss there, right? Of either going for the Carolina Panthers or the Washington. They used to
Yeah,
be the Redskins, but I'm just saying they're in your area, right? Because there, how many teams do you guys can choose from?
we
I
got Carolina, we got Baltimore, we got Washington. So I'm right there. I'm about 2 or 3 hours from Washington, about 3 or 4 hours from Baltimore. So you got about three teams right there.
Yeah, so you got three options, man. Like what? Okay, so here, South Texas, we got either Houston, the Houston Texans, or the Dallas Cowboys, right? And that's it. And both of those are going to be a 7+ hour drive for us. So for us to go to a game. So, but there where you live, you got that option of and that opportunity to be able to choose, right? So I'm just saying, if you're a Commanders, it's so hard to call them the Commanders, man. If you're a true Washington football team, right? I think that was a better team a name. Let's just go back to old school, man. If you're a Redskins fan and you've stuck through all the name changing, all that, you should feel a little bit of sigh of relief that the team was smart enough to take a chance on this quarterback somehow. I think that he looked natural, if anything. It looked good.
And I
Looked
think
good.
Wentz or Howard, it'll be Wentz. I mean, they traded for him. Howard's not ready right now. He did look good in the preseason. But I think whoever it is, let's just say hypothetically Wentz, they set up nice. They got a tight end, Logan Thomas, running game. We didn't talk about a lot, and obviously Brian Roberts from Alabama. I forgot he even went to Washington. He had a pretty good preseason game. They got Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin, and people forget about Curtis Samuel. They got him last year. He didn't play a lot because he was hurt. They got some pieces there.
They do.
So I mean, there's no. I mean, they got the pieces there.
They do. They do. And that defense, I mean, we saw what that defense did 2 seasons ago. You know what I mean? Like you
Right.
said, that defense with a running game and a quarterback that can make the play when you need to make the play, that equals a Super Bowl formula, right? Let's get back into it. Desmond Ritter. He looked good too. I mean, he got some playing time. Now, he threw the ball a little bit more, right? So he threw the ball 22 times and he completed 10. So, when you do that, I mean, you're kind of, I mean, if you're 10 for 20, then you're 50%. His completion percentage was at 45.5%, but he did throw for 2 touchdowns. So I will tell you this. It's still, for all these young men, right? For all these young men, it's still really early, but they definitely stole the show week one. Did Desmond Ritter give the Falcons fans, right? The I don't know, do they still go by the Dirty Birds? Did he give the Dirty Birds hope for a future if Marcus Mariota doesn't work?
Desmond Ritter, you hit the nail on it. He stole the show. He was one of the most impressive. Him and Kenny Pickett. I'm gonna get a slight of Desmond Ritter. He played the most. He was impressive, and I think he's gonna get a chance to play early because Marcus Mariota has a bad injury here. He's been hurt a lot. He's been
Yeah,
hurt a lot in college and in the NFL. So Ritter probably got the best chance of coming on and playing early. I don't know who the Falcons start the season are. I think they play the Saints week one, I believe. We'll get back on that right there, but I believe they play the Saints. I'm not mistaken. But they Ritter, I think he's the real deal, and they got some pieces for. I like Drake London. He did get hurt, so we got to get an update on that. They still got Kyle Pitts or whatnot. They brought in some receivers in the offseason, but they still got Cordell Patterson. But I think he's in a good position, man, for Atlanta, for the Dirty Birds, as you just said.
yeah. Well, I mean, Ritter, you know, he was with Cincinnati for 4 years, right? And I believe, with him, he had a solid defense. He had good pieces around him, and I think that he has some Ritter has some great pieces around him. Cal Pitts, I know Drake
Drake
London,
London
but Drake London kind of went down. It's not season ending, but
on
yes,
his first catch too.
yeah, it's crazy. But yes, the Falcons do play the Saints. That is that is September 11th at 12 p.m. Central Time on Fox. Just to just to give you clarification. But yeah, Desmond Ritter definitely looked good. I think if anything, right now it's still relatively early, but it gives us an opportunity to get excited about the football season. It's up ahead.
It's back.
Last but not least, let's talk about Malik Willis, man. What do you think about what you saw, man?
It's funny, man, because I was switching back to my Patriots and Giants, and I was watching the Ravens and the Titans. I was looking on Twitter, and they was throwing. I mean, they was trashing Malik Willis. He wasn't playing really good. But then went back. I think he had a nice touchdown made. Hamilton missed from the Ravens, the safety, their first round safety, the safety that they drafted this year. I think he came on late
It was a pick six, right?
for
Or just
Hamilton.
yeah, was it a pick six or just
No,
an
they just made they just he made him a miss. He made a miss by the goal line. He hit about he probably like choked about two defenders and scored on that play.
Oh,
So
that's
from
right.
Malik,
That's
yeah, from Malik Willis. But nevertheless or whatnot, he looked real good. But he started out slow, but you could tell he was a little shaky to start. But he started out slow, and I mean, I think they need to get some more weapons around him if he's going to be the guy. I know they got Robert Williams. He's coming out back from ACL tear. They drafted the receiver out of Arkansas or whatnot. So I mean, they got some pieces there, and there, we know Derek Henry, Traylon Burks, Derek Henry. We already know what he represents. But I would like to see them get something in the middle of the field. Who's going to be the tight end this year? So I mean, we're just going to see what happens there with Malik Willis. But he started out shaky, but he came on. And we're going to see that slow, steady progress throughout the preseason. He'll continue to come on. He's going to get more reps. Tannehill's their guy. But Malik Willis will get more reps. And who knows, by the third preseason game, Titans might got something to have a conversation about whenever Ryan Tannehill struggles this year. And
yeah,
if
yeah,
he
for
does.
sure. No, for sure. I think overall he was 6 for 11. He passed for 170 yards. He didn't get to pass for a touchdown, but his completion percentage was at 54.6. You
It
know,
didn't
he's
like the moment was too big for him. That's the main thing that stood out to me.
correct. And that magic, that play where he I mean, he starts running with the play and then he abandons it, books it to it looked like he booked it to his left and found the crease, he found the hole, and it looked like they got him right before he got to the goal line, and boom, he was able to score. So I mean, he looked good. He looked good as far as looking like if you have those design packages that you can for his athletic ability, man, the sky is the limit for this quarterback. And I
Absolutely.
know it's still relatively early. Maybe next year around this time, we're gonna be talking about like, oh, we missed on this guy, or I wasn't right about this guy, but it's all good, man. Right now, I think it's a safe bet to say that these rookies really stole the show. And we will talk more about what is up ahead this week, right, for week 2. But that's it for us, man. We just want to say thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for the support. And tune in tomorrow. We'll talk about what's up ahead. We'll talk about Thursday's game, and then the slew of games on Saturday. So I want to say thank you all, and until then, have a good night.